So, and before I kind of jump into it, I just kind of want to go over the vision of Comet Notes and kind of the ecosystem in general. So me and my brothers are avid note takers. We all really enjoy taking notes. It's one of the things we do a lot. So we wanted to come up with a solution that we actually enjoyed using. And first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that we would have control over our data. And one of the best ways to do that was to make a desktop application. So that's where we started. And this way we don't have to rely on any app stores. We want to support other platforms in the future, different mobile apps, and a web client at some point. But that's why we wanted to start with the desktop application. Then we want it to be privacy respecting, so we're not tracking anything that you're doing. And then eventually we want to make sure that everything's locally encrypted on your device. And then we also want to incorporate syncing. So this way you can sync the notes between your different devices. And all of these features are very similar to what current note-taking apps have, so it's a very feasible thing to do. And then on top of that, and this is where the Nostr integration comes into play, which is where it gets more interesting, is you can use our relay or you can hook in your own relay of your choice to then, in the future, once we have it set up, to be able to encrypt your notes over Nostr in a more decentralized fashion. And once we have that set up, you'll be able to do that. And then after that, and this is kind of goes into what Shopster was talking about, this idea of publishing, like Nostr being because that's another feature that we have in the app is the ability to publish. And then after that, we want to also incorporate the ability to track engagement. So if we have zaps, you could open it up and maybe have a notification saying, oh, you've been zapped this much for the content that you posted. So that's kind of where we start from and kind of our philosophy, and then where we want to be. So if we go over here, this is more of the app over here. And if we go down here to Comet Notes. So Comet Notes, like I said, it's an open source cross-platform app that's going to allow users to take notes and publish with Nostr integration. And then you can download the alpha, so the first version of the alpha, if you come over here to comet.md. You can download it for Mac OS ARM, and then there's also a Linux app image. And so the problem that we had was that there's a lot of note-taking apps out there, but none of them have the first-class support for Nostr. And then, like we talked about, pretty much all the note-taking apps that I know of, they all require a centralized server to sync the user's notes. But with Nostr, you can just spin up your own personal relay, or you can use our relay, and then you can just hook it into the app, and then you can have a more decentralized syncing, and then it'll also be encrypted as well. And also, because of Nostr, you get the ability to just immediately get plugged in to the social network. So it's nice because then you can publish, you can save notes, you can track engagement. And the target audience who we're kind of going after is just users that use existing note-taking apps and sites that want a familiar UI UX. So you can kind of see here, if you ever used Apple Notes, it's a very similar feel to that, because we don't want to overload the user right away with a bunch of different features and all these other things. We kind of want them to just be able to open up the app and use it like any other note-taking app, because even though Nostr for us is not that difficult to use, but for other people, the idea of what is a private key, what is a public key, it can kind of throw them off. So again, users that are interested in these features right here, cross-platform open source apps, so it'll be independent of the app stores, you get more data sovereignty that way, it'll be private, it'll be locally encrypted and stored on the device, the encrypted syncing again, and then the publishing and the tracking of the engagement. So the tech stack that we're using Whales, and Whales is basically a framework to just build cross-platform desktop applications, and it's an alternative to Electron, and then it's written in Go. And then the notes that are stored locally, we just use a SQLite database. And then for the Nostr integration, you can just sign in with your private key, and then we just use the NIP23 for long-form content using either our provided relay, which is at relay.notestack.com, and you can also add in your own relays. And then these are just some of the competitors that we would have. There's some centralized ones, but like I said, I don't know of any decentralized ones. And so now we'll get into NoteStack. So NoteStack is an open source Nostr-based blogging platform, and it has lightning tips in it right now, so I showed it to you earlier. but we can just go to the home page and just kind of see what it looks like. So it has a very similar feel and look to Medium. You can just kind of scroll down here, and these will just be all, right now we're just using just some hard-coded public keys for this featured section, but this is just what it'll look like. And the problem is that Nostr is going to need to have a long-form content platform that, again, balances the user experience with the cutting-edge Nostr developments. So we want this to also be a seamless experience for the end user. We want them to just be able to feel very, very comfortable when they come here. And again, familiar UI, UX, similar to the more popular centralized apps. And the tech stack that we're using is the profile feeds. So if you were to come over here and if you were to click on a user's profile, those feeds, they're constructed using the Gossip model, which uses NIP5 and then NIP65. And I have a little diagram of kind of how we set it up. I might post this too. I'm not going to go through all of it right now, but this is like the flow of kind of how we're using the Gossip model in the app. And then we just have support for Zaps currently. And then each article also has a drop-down, which will let you broadcast the event. So whatever relays you put into the app, once you broadcast the event, so you could basically just take their article, their post, and then just broadcast it to your own relays if you wanted to. And then we're just using React Query for advanced state management. So this just makes the loading of the data a little bit easier, a little bit faster. And yeah, so that's the tech stack, and here are some more competitors. Again, you have the centralized one, the decentralized ones, Kabla, Highlighter. So those are the competitors there. And if we go to the examples, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up here to just create a new key pair, so you can just keep creating new ones. But if I just copy this NSEC right here, and then if I go into Note Stack, and I can just paste it, and now I can sign in. So now I'm signed in, and what I can do from Comet Notes over here, and we already have this relay hooked into Comet Notes by default, our relay.notestack.com, and I'll have to add it in here as well. So if we just do relay.notestack.com, and we'll just have it to read and write. And if we just save that, notestack.com. Okay, so the relays have been updated. And then if we come over here, we can then publish this article. So, and then the other idea here is because it's a private note-taking app, but also it can be a publisher. So we just want to confirm before you post anything that you're actually posting something that you want to be publicly available. So then we'll just post it, and then you see a little note posted. So if we go back to our profile, and you can see it's right here. And you can click on it, and you can kind of check it out on NoteStack. And then this will be available for anyone to look at. They can rebroadcast it. They can do whatever they want with it. And then we have another one here that we can post as well. And then note posted. And again, if we just go back to our profile, might take a second, have to refresh. And there it is, right there. And that's the examples. Now, the other thing that we're working on is something called Relay Wizard. So Relay Wizard is a command line interface, CLI tool, that's going to automate the installation and configuration of Nostr relays. So what we have here is a one command install, and we have a website for it over here. So this is Relay Wizard, and you can just copy this command from the site, and this is, hopefully I'll be able to SSH in. And then if we just run this, and this will install Relay Wizard. Just take probably a little bit of time here. Okay, still loading. So while that's loading, I can just go back over here and just talk about it a little bit. So what Relay Wizard allows you to do is it allows the user to choose from different relay implementations depending on their specific needs. So we have 3 different implementations in there right now. We have Catru Pyramid, Stir Fry, Catru 29, and we plan to add more in the future. And let's see if it finished loading. It might. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so welcome to Relay Wizard. You can install and manage your relays with ease. So I'm just going to talk about what it does for you and the setup that it goes through. So it'll basically do these 6 steps right now. So it's going to install any necessary dependencies that you need. It'll set up a firewall, configure Nginx. You'll obtain a TLS certificate, and it'll install the relay software for whatever implementation you want, and then it'll set up a systemd service for your relay. And the main goal of this is just to make deploying Nostr relays quick and effortless, and anyone that has minimal technical experience, they should be able to do it. So if we come back over here, let me just double check, because I just want to make sure. Okay. So you can, so you already have to have a domain name, but if you have a domain name hooked up already, you can just type it in. So it should be relay.testrelay.xyz, relay.testrelay.xyz, and we'll just do devs at node-tech.com. And then stir-fry, so this is the relay domain name that you're going to use. This is just for certbot, for notifications about your SSL certificate. And then you can choose which relay you want, and we're just going to go with stir-fry. And then it'll just update and install all the packages. And it might take a little bit, so I'll just go back over here and just kind of talk about the problem. So again, manually setting up a Nostr relay, it's going to involve installing the software dependencies, setting everything up, the firewall, Nginx, TLS certificate, relay software, all that stuff. So it can be complex, especially for people that don't have any experience. So the technical expertise that you would need to do that, it can be a high ask of your average person. So, you know, in terms of server administration, networking, security protocols, all that other stuff. So that can also be time consuming, and that can deter potential users from wanting to do it. And then if people aren't running relays, then because of the technical barriers, then we won't be able to get widespread adoption, and the decentralization and growth of the Nostr network, it just won't grow. So let's see if it finished. So now it's just asking if we want to obtain an SSL certificate. So we're going to say yep. And now it's just going to install the different dependencies, and there you go. So this will just tell you some information about your relay. So this is the address for the relay right here, relay.testrelay.xyz, at the WebSocket right there. And then it just tells you where your data directory is, your config file, how to check the status of the systemd service, how to reload it, restart, and then just some links for support. And then we also plan to use relay groups for support in the future. And then you can just run it again by running rwz install. So that is how you would do that. And then the target audience is just any developers and enthusiasts, so people that are looking for a streamlined way to deploy Nostr relays without spending any time on the manual setup. Non-technical users, so people that are just able to run the one command and just have it be set up for them. And then organizations and communities, so groups aiming to promote decentralized communication platforms just by making it easier to contribute to the network infrastructure. So from here, and this is what I had up before, because I had previously run this, because it'll take a little bit longer to install everything if you run it for the first time. But this is just the relay.testrelay.xyz, and you see that it uses stir-fry. So now if we were to go back into the Comet notes over here, and what we can do is we can just add a relay in here. So we did WSS, and then it was relay.test, relay.xyz. So we can add this relay, and then you can remove our relay if you want. You can just save this. And then if we go into, we'll just go into our examples folder. And if we make a new note, all right, there you go. That's being an alpha. So, and then we'll just say testing relay wizard and just test. And then what we should be able to do here is just publish this. And now it should note posted. So if we come over here, if we can use the Nostr Army knife to just pull this in, and this might take a second to connect, but there you go. So you can see that just make that a little bit bigger. So you can see that it pulled in the event right here, testing relay wizard. So now we're posting to our own relay that we just set up. And so if we go back here to relay wizard, we talked about this. So if we go to relay runner, so relay runner is just basically, it's a guide, like a step-by-step process of how to set up your own relay. So if you would prefer to know how to do everything, this would be the guide that you would use. And also, if you don't trust our, our relay wizard or our tools that we're making for you, then you can set everything up yourself, and it'll do all the same steps. And again, the goal is to lower the barrier of entry, promote decentralization, and wider adoption of the protocol. And the target audience, again, developers and enthusiasts, non-technical users, community builders. So this is people that would probably be interested in a guide like this. And then the problem, again, is just the complexity of doing it. So if you were to just go to the GitHub and try to run all the commands yourself, it can be more time-consuming, it can be more difficult, more frustrating. So the idea is just to make it easier for them, and then just to make it more accessible for everyone. And then again, without something like Relay Runner, Relay Wizard, there's going to be a growth limitation for the people just to be able to use Nostr in a more decentralized way. So that's Relay Runner. And trying to, let me see over here. So this is the site for Relay Runner right here. Just some guides, and we'll have different implementations and stuff here as well. And so if we go back over here, just have the monetization. So these are just some ways that we're thinking about monetizing the app. So we can have a paid relay for syncing and storage, paid relay for premium publishing, just website hosting for users publish notes, an early access program if people wanted to get features early, different themes, and then maybe some other premium features in the future, similar to how other note-taking apps have premium features in their applications. And then for NoteStack, we're thinking maybe we can make it like a publication platform similar to a Substack, and also a paid relay for premium content. And then Relay Wizard. So with Relay Wizard, we want to be able to basically do relays as a service, so we can easily provision relays for individuals and companies. And then Relay Runner would just be for consulting for individuals and companies. And yeah, and then we'll just go to the roadmap for everything. So right now, like I showed you earlier, we currently have a package we have an app image for Linux, and then we're supporting the Mac OS ARM. So we want to be able to distribute it for Intel-based Macs, Windows, and then also mobile apps, web client, the things that I mentioned before in the beginning with the encrypted notes, the syncing it'll be relay.comet.md. And then we're thinking that we could have a fee paid for with Lightning, or you could use your own relay and set it up for free. And then to be able to track engagement of the published content. And we want to have the option to have other text editors in here as well, and to be able to save notes from a Nostr site, different themes, features. And then NoteStack, we want to have, again, another rich text editor that supports Markdown and maybe some Nostr extensions in there, and potentially create a Nostr-flavored Markdown, and we'll see how far we can get with that. Add highlighting and commenting features to NoteStack, different stacks of notes, bookmarks, list of articles, comments. And then for Relay Wizard, just support more relay implementations, support NIP86 for relay management, basically just an API that after you set it up, you'll be able to easily adjust all of the things that you originally set up when you ran it. And then just support Onion services. And for Relay Runner, we just want to make a logo, improve the documentation, improve the site, support more relay implementations, create videos, and just more guides for people. So that is everything. So if anyone has any questions or comments.
How modular is the customization of the relay? Could you blacklist and whitelist different event kinds and all that stuff? Or
so we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay.
But that would be something that would be very interesting to do in the future. So that's a good issue I'll put in the GitHub.
Yeah, because yesterday I was trying to set up a relay and like it was such a pain. Like I gave up because like, and I've been working on Nostr for like a whole year, right? And like it's actually like relay wizard stuff is awesome because having like individual based relays I think is going to be really cool. And have you thought about I guess making some sort of like library or API to like make it easy to integrate it into other clients so you can like simply click a button and you have a local relay there for you?
Yeah, so we wanted to do sort of like an admin console, kind of like a GUI that someone could use for it. So we were going to do that. We don't know if we're going to like put that into the Relay Wizard project or have that be a separate project. But yeah, we would like to have like a GUI, a simple API that people could just hook in to their different applications and stuff. So that would also be on the roadmap for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll be really cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, give it up for Jay from Jersey.
Thanks, everyone.